my channel. Today, I am going to be diving into some drugstore makeup. I feel like it's been a while since I've actually gone through a lot of my drugstore loves with you guys. And I know so many of you guys keep telling me you are on a limited buy or a no buy right now, especially in this first half of the year. So I wanted to share with you guys some things that I love and trust every time when I'm going to drugstore makeup. I have a lot of this on my face today, but you've also seen throughout history on my channel, I have loved and used and repurchased so many of the products I'm going to talk about today. So these are some drugstore items that I really love, and there's actually one new thing I'm testing out as well. So let's jump in. While I do have a good amount of high-end products that I've gotten from BoxyCharm and a few other things from my purchases, there are some products in my collection that I love to start my face with, and e.l.f. is a big factor for me. In the summertime, I am such an oily girl, and as many of you know, I'm kind of going through a lot of skin changes right now with surgical menopause. So I'm going back and forth between being oily and dry at the moment, and I have two things right now that I am using a lot. The first one here is the e.l.f. Oil Control Primer. This is called a primer, but for me, it's also just kind of like part of a morning skincare routine on the days I know I'm crazy oily or I've been oily for a while. I'll just spray some of this onto my face in the morning as kind of like that morning setting spray to keep things in check all day. This is something that I got last year and really loved, but right now I'm having the opposite situation. I'm very unfamiliar with that skin type because I've always been an oily girl. So when I wanted to try something that was more hydrating for a base piece for my makeup, I jumped over to the e.l.f. Hydrating Face Primer. This is a very thick concentrate. I would say this is very silicone-y, but I also feel like it doesn't add a ton of shine or moisture to your face. It just adds enough to keep your makeup ready for that next step. I was definitely tacky and ready for foundation after I put this on this morning, and I feel like, I just got it in my hair. I feel like that also really helps with that next step for foundation, but also helping with blurring some of those pores as well. And it's also not broken me out. And as a sensitive skin girl, that is important. But as you guys know, I've also been really loving for a while another e.l.f. product that helps with my pores, and it is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I do have the Tatcha Silk Canvas in my collection, so I have used them in tandem. I have used them one day this, one day that, and I think they both do a great job. But if this is too pricey for you, which it absolutely is a pricey item, I'm happy to say that e.l.f. is an inexpensive, amazing dupe. And as you can see, I have definitely hit pan on this. I use this almost every day right now because my skin is in a really weird flux with hormones and all that good stuff. So I have been trusting my face with a lot of these goodies. Next is some foundations. Now I can go back and forth between loving a medium coverage and then occasionally really wanting to go full beat. If and when I am dying for a good natural medium coverage look, CoverGirl has my heart. The foundations I cannot live without at the moment are the CoverGirl Olay Simply Ageless. I have three right now in my collection because I've been kind of that weird in-betweeny shade. One that I just repurchased though was the 250 Creamy Beige. I just repurchased this past week because I had used it all up. It is a great, more neutral tone, and I really love these because I feel like not only do they give me enough sufficient coverage, but it also has that oil of Olay in it for a little bit of moisturizing for when I need it when I'm getting a little dry. But as an oily skin girl, it has not made my face go rogue. It hasn't slipped off my face. The makeup doesn't move. I was always worried hearing Olay or any kind of moisturizer as an oily skin girl would really mess up my makeup even when I'm super oily. This has not. This does a great job. I feel like keeping my makeup on all day, but also giving it the benefits of the Olay. I've talked about these a lot, especially at the end of 2019, but these are still things I'm really using all the time. And I feel like if you are a girl on a budget and you just want a good flawless makeup finish. These are really good. Well, this brand, I just have 3, but I really love the CoverGirl Olay Simply Ageless. Love, love, love. Another CoverGirl foundation that I raved about before, like years and years ago, before I went cruelty-free and then CoverGirl went cruelty-free so I could go back to them, was the CoverGirl Outlast All Day Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation. It's a very, very long name, but I really like the product. I can say I do tend to gravitate more towards the Olay version than the 3-in-1 these days, but this used to be the foundation that I was a ride or die of, repurchased it over and over and over. I feel like this foundation still gives you really great coverage, but it is maybe more of a thinner medium coverage, but you can build it up for sure. I also really like how it sits on the skin and just makes your makeup look really clean. I can really appreciate that. The color that I have here is Buff Beige, if you're curious of my tone. I really think that this is still a very good foundation, and it doesn't crack or break apart nearly as much as some of the other foundations that I have been trying recently. So this is still one that is in my collection that I do like to reach for and definitely recommend. I mean, look at the coverage on my hand from that. I mean, that was not much, so that's pretty good considering, you know? Okay, a foundation though that I have been in love with these past, week, 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks now. I would say at least for a solid week, my skin has really been shifting and adjusting because it is being more dry because of hormones. So something that sometimes can be a little too oily for me midway through the day, but right now in February when I'm having some dry skin issues, this foundation is so good, and it is high coverage and drugstore and really amazing. This is the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. This color right now on me is also a really good match, and it's hard for me to match, so that's always exciting. This is 03 Light Beige, and I have to tell you, this is the one thing that when I have been comparing that nasty Becca foundation to a thick coverage, this is a thick coverage, but it is also blendable. It has also got enough moisture in it, even as an oily skin girl, that I can move as much makeup or product as I want all over my face, over my nose, over my forehead, whether it's with a blender or a brush, and it gives me a great finish. And that Becca one, we're not going to get into it. I talked about it in my BoxyCharm video if you missed that. That one just gives me angry eyes. I get really mad at that foundation. Tried it for too many days and it still wouldn't work. This is a great drugstore option if you are wanting a high coverage foundation that is going to last all day, make your makeup look great. Now, if you are oily, especially in the summertime, about halfway through the day, I for sure need a powder down, but it never looked awful on me like that Becca foundation did halfway through the day. Like, I could go to work, be in my office halfway through the day and just powder down and still look great all day. It is a tad oilier than some of the other products though, so keep that in mind if you're an oily sister like me. But right now, this foundation is what I'm wearing today. It is what I have been trusting with my crazy skin at the moment to still make me feel pretty when I'm going places and seeing family and friends and going out. Oh, right now, this is my go-to when, this is normally my go-to, the CoverGirl Olay. Right now, I'm going back and forth between these two the most for foundation. Ooh, let's talk about concealer. So concealers right now, I love some high-end ones that I've had in my collection that I've told you about before, but one that I'm reaching for a lot now that I have been jumping into my Milani Conceal and Perfect is my CoverGirl. I feel like I talked about this nonstop in 2018. 2019, kind of backed off of it, tried some other things, and now I've come back. Dang it, it's so good. I forgot how good it was, and they've had some more new releases come out for, I'm pretty sure, some face makeup like concealers and foundations, so I need to investigate that in the true mindset of being minimal and using what we have in our collection. Absolutely, it was amazing to jump back into this. The shade I have here is Light 16. I was intentionally using this the other day when I was having a hard time matching a foundation. I don't remember if it was fully the Becca one or something else that I've had in my collection, but I was like, oh, I need a lighter concealer to kind of like blend things out and marry them to make it look more like my skin tone. And that's when I was like, dang, I forgot how good this was for concealer. I can use this under the eyes, on the face, to highlight, to conceal. It's so dang good. And like I said, I used it a ton in 2018, kind of backed off of it in 2019, and now reminding myself in 2020, this stuff is so good, and it's like $6, crazy cheap. Highly recommend. The other one that I really like that is drugstore, that is newer to the market from 2019, is the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. It does coat those under eyes. This will save you, but make sure you move quickly and do one eye at a time, because this does dry fast, not as fast as the Becca foundation that we all know I'm mad at, but this is still really good, but you need to move a little quicker than you might with other items. I have two colors here. One of them is medium sand and one of them is medium beige. Right now I'm leaning towards more the lighter one, but these are really, really good. Some powders that I have in my collection that I have been loving are CoverGirl, and I'm still using up some Coty Airspun that I've had in my collection. Today I put my CoverGirl Advanced Radiance Powder under my eyes after I did my full beat down with the concealers and foundations, and I used this to keep my under eye and lids from creasing. It does a beautiful job. I was also using the Real Technique sponge that is specifically for powder. I got this at like a Walgreens, really inexpensive at the end of 2019, and I've loved having this new tool in my collection to really just kind of like tap into the product, go under the eye, go down the nose, go wherever. It helps to blend and smooth too, and it's just a great way to use powder if you don't like using powder with a damp sponge. I like to keep this one dry, but there are times I like to use a damp sponge for powder too. There's always a time and place for everything with makeup, but this is a powder that I've really loved for touching up and for doing initial application. But I'll put these suckers in my purse and do touch-ups throughout the day, because it gives this little bit of coverage that still just smooths everything out and puts it all back in place if you're looking oily. The Coty Airspun, I know not a lot of people love it because of the smell, but it is really good for setting down your makeup, for baking, for doing all sorts of things. I have two of these in my collection. The one I used today was naturally neutral. I believe the other one's just a translucent, but these are really good as well and inexpensive at the drugstore. Bronzers are another love of mine. I'm a bronzy girl, less of a blushy girl, and there are two that I absolutely adore from the drugstore. This one's kind of pricey. Well, this one's kind of pricey too, but on a budget. Hold please. This one is the number 7 bronzer. I talked about this a ton in 2019, and you can see why. Hello, Pan. How are you? I use this a ton. When I first got this, I think in 2017 or 2018, I didn't like it because it was more of a neutral cool tone, and I was going through a warm girl phase. I wanted everything warm. So the Physicians Butter Bronzers won my heart the most because it was a bit warmer toned. But last year I fell in love with this for carving out the cheekbones. If I didn't want to do a contour and a bronze, I could just jump into this, or I had this for just bronzer. This was my go-to in 2019, and I love it. Still using it up. Number 7 is a pricier item at, I think I got this at Walgreens, but it is so good. I really recommend it, and the shade I have is Maple in number 7 bronzer. Really like this. This was a die-hard bronzer for me last year. And you guys know, like I said, I fell in love with Physicians Formula forever ago, but I recently talked about how Target now has these little minis for travel. I did pick one up because I knew we'd be traveling this year, and the big bulky packaging of the Physicians Formula is really hard to travel with, so I wasn't sorry to go ahead and grab this while I could. I used even this today because it was so good and I really like it. This one was really cheap too, like $5 or $6 for the same formula, just in a mini size. Love it. A blush that I do love that is a drugstore, yeah, I said it, a blush, is the e.l.f. blush. I've actually had this in my collection since I started my channel. This is in Candid Coral, and I'm pretty sure I got this on Amazon when I first started my channel, and I fell in love with this because I think I had heard this was like a weird, inexpensive dupe for the NARS Orgasm blush, and we all know years ago that was the it blush to beat. Everybody was talking about it, everybody wanted it, it was a pricey item. So e.l.f. came on the market and had this little dupe here, and you can tell I like this a lot. I have hit pan on it. I'm wearing it today. It has this beautiful terracotta coral tone to it that goes so well with the bronzer that it doesn't compete. It just adds as like a little accessory to your face. I really fell in love with this blush, and it's stayed in my collection for this long. I have moved it from house to house to house, and I'm not a blush girl, so what does that tell you? A highlighter that I really do love, and this is really inexpensive, but it tends to fall off my radar until I recently got something in an Ipsy that reminded me of it. It is the ColourPop Super Shock Highlighters. I am wearing this today in the shade Wisp, and it is so darn beautiful and blingy. No, wait, this one is Butterfly Beach. I have Wisp too, but this is Butterfly Beach. I really love these in the summertime because it gives you that wet, juicy goddess look that we're all looking for. But it is also a great look for like the inner corners on eyes. It's also a great just pop on the top of the cheekbone any time of year. It is so great, so pretty, and so inexpensive. I've also had this for a really long time and it is not dried out in this little component here. I have reached for this, used this with brushes, used this with fingers, and it does a great job. Whereas other creamier to powder highlighters don't always last that long and don't always work with fingers and brushes. This does both. Eyeshadow palettes, please and thank you. I have two different brands here. I have Essence that I've gotten at a CVS and I have ColourPop. ColourPop, no, you can't just go into like a local CVS for it, but they're inexpensive. You can order them online or Ulta has some of them as well. And they're really, really good. Also, this year I've discovered the Essence palettes that I've gotten at a local CVS and they're really good. And they're not breaking the bank to get really quality shadows. Oh my gosh, this morning I was having so much playing in like 5 of these palettes. So from Essence, I have the Be Beautiful palette and I have the Follow Your Heart palette. These are a little bit more neutral. One's a little warmer, one's a little cooler. I have been reaching into both of these for, I guess the past 2 months, and I have really enjoyed the warm or cool or neutral or snatchural looks I've been able to get from these. I do feel like these are kind of like a complete set because one has all mattes for the most part and the other one has some shimmers to add to it. And I really, really like them. And they have mirrors, which is always handy. Quality on these, the quality on these shadows is really good too, especially considering I think I got each of these for $4.99. I think I got them on a sale. I think they're normally like 10 bucks, but for drugstore eyeshadows, there's not always a ton to pick from sometimes. I liked these a lot. And for ColourPop, these are the contenders I have in my collection. You had me at hello. Yes, please. Element of Surprise. This is the one that really surprised me today. Fitting for the name, right? I did all my neutrals with these two palettes here in the beginning of my eye look and really enjoyed building up the crease and the outer corner. And then I jumped into the Yes Please palette and used up some of these neutral shades over here. For the Element of Surprise, I used this reddish purple. It's got some iridescent tones to it on the lid. Warmed up my outer corner with one of the Essence palettes. I forgot how stunning this highlight shade was in the Element of Surprise palette. I did this in my inner corner and oh my goodness, the iridescent reflections from it are stunning. They're a gorgeous pop, but I also forgot how good this lid shade was. It has those purpley hues to it, those iridescent looks to it. It's got this glow. My eye look today came out great with using and mixing and matching all of these palettes, but this one definitely like added that little some extra to it. Love. All of these palettes, really good, high quality, and they're inexpensive. That's a win. A lip liner that I love, and I talked about it last year too, is the Jordana Easy Liner for Lips. It's a retractable pencil in the shade Tawny. I learned about this product from Carly Bybel, like, I don't know, 5 years ago when she was talking about this on her channel. I fell in love with it. I saw it last year in the drugstore and was like, wow, what a throwback. I want to get that again. And this has been really my go-to lip liner behind the scenes here. Since I put it back in my collection. It's that good. And it's a nice nude, neutral shade to go with another lip. And a lippy that I am loving and other lippies that I'm loving, I'm kind of weird about lipsticks. I feel like I haven't bought lipsticks in such a long time because we get so many from BoxyCharm, Ipsy, those kind of things. But some that I have purchased are from ColourPop. That includes a bullet lippy and the liquid lips as well. The one I'm wearing today is the Villains shade Hades. This lippy lived in my purse last year because I took it with me everywhere. This bullet lippy reminded me that drugstore lippies, especially in the bullet formula, can be really good and not transfer nearly as much or have too much slip or moisture to them that it just falls all over your face. This is really a favorite for me, and what was it, like $6, $8 at ColourPop? Love this. And I've always been a lover, and I've talked about this a lot on my channel, the ColourPop formula for the liquid lips. I prefer the satin liquid lip because I feel like it's got just enough slip that it's not slipping all over my lips, but it's not too dry. It's one of my favorite formulas. Beeper is one of my favorites that I have from ColourPop here. I still have Sunday. I have the Twirl. I have a couple of others in my collection, but my favorite, ultimate diehard favorite, Aquarius. Aquarius from ColourPop, and I still have Aquarius 2 in my collection. That one's got a little bit more of a purple brown undertone to it. The Aquarius one is my perfect nude, and that is a collab with Kathleen Lights. Highly recommended. And these, $6. So good. Last all day. Just need a little bit of touch-ups here and there, but they're so good. All right, 2 more things to talk about really quickly. I feel like I've been running on and on about drugstore makeup, but it's that good, guys. I have to tell you. I got this Pixie Glow Mist from an Ipsy box. So full disclosure, I got this from a subscription box, but this is drugstore and I actually really like it, even as an oily skin girl. Yes, I'm going through a lot of different things where my skin is getting drier, it's kind of in betweeny, but even when I was just full-blown oily last year, I couldn't believe how this made my makeup look like that extra glowy finish without adding a lot of oil. I really liked this. You got to mix it up really good, but I'm at the very bottom of it. And as an oily skin girl, what does that tell you? It's good. I've talked about these recently, so I won't hit too much time on them, but the Essence mascaras. You guys let me know. I think that you love the purple one, I think. I have to try that. The one I'm using today is the Volume Mascara from Lash Princess from Essence. This is something I got at the drugstore, CVS. You can also order it online for $4.99. These are so inexpensive and so good. My favorite thing about these mascaras is they're $4.99, first of all, but also these compete with high-end mascaras any day for me, especially after they've had time to be open and oxidized for a week, specifically 2 weeks. After it has time to thicken up, your lashes are going to go from voom to voom voom. Like, they get long, they get luxurious, they get thicker. I love this formula, and my favorite over here is the false lash effect. I've only opened this one first. This one I had to order. You can see it's still in the cellophane, but again, $4.99, inexpensive. Love these so much, and I hate spending too much money on mascara because you can only have them for like, I don't know what, 3 months, and then you got to get rid of them. But as far as drugstore mascaras go, these are my go-tos. But I do need to try the purple one you guys told me about. But these Essence mascaras are the best. Whew, guys, I feel like I have been going down a drugstore rabbit hole with you guys, but these are all the things I can't stop using. I've repurchased them in my collection. Oh, there's one thing that's brand new to my collection. I almost forgot to talk about it. I'm trying it today. I tried it yesterday. I'm gonna let you guys know in an updated video what I think of it long term, but this is also an inexpensive loose powder from e.l.f. This is their new Halo Glow setting powder. New to me, I think it's new on the market too. I use this as that last shellac on the face, especially for an oily skin girl, to really add that glow back in at that last step of powder. So I'm really intrigued to see how it works for me long term. Right now, I'm really enjoying how this smooth finish looks right now. Like, this is after a full beat, and keep in mind, my skin has been going through the ringer with hormones and that stupid Becca foundation, and right now it looks stunning. I am really loving this, and it's inexpensive. What's up, e.l.f.? Thanks for being awesome. Guys, thank you so much for going down this drugstore rabbit hole with me. I love talking about inexpensive makeup with you guys that, you know, we are helping each other out here. So tell our friends below if there are some drugstore items you can't live without. Tell us below, because we love a good inexpensive deal. That's amazing. Thank you so much for watching, and if you happen to be new to my crazy little channel, hi new friends, I hope you take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button down below to see all of the fun, loud, weird, unique videos I do every single week. Bye friends!